Hopefully you can all see my screen, guys.
Yes, we can. Yeah, was viewing your screen. Right, so how are you wanting this particular session to work?
So this particular session, Nicholas, will be a combo. What could possibly go wrong? You'll be delighted to know, however, no polls in ours, so no need to do any poll fumbling. But what I will be doing is setting the scene, introducing some low-code, no-code client success stories based off a recent presentations that were given at the GOSS user group. In terms of introductions from GOSS, there is myself and Matt Barnes. And as I say, the stuff that we'll be talking about today is based on the GOSS user group we had back in April. Over 250 odd sign-ups to that session, where we covered all sorts of topics, as I was saying, looking at kind of no code, low code, lessons learned. We actually built in one session, we actually built an entire application in under an hour, which was quite cool. So beginning to end, you're on mute, Nick, but I'm sure it was wonderful. Beginning to end, and indeed we actually deployed it and delivered it. So yeah, it was really good. And what we're hoping to do today is take you through some of those sessions as well. Yeah, kind of along the lines of other suppliers, we have a very strong user community as well. We actually use the Slack community to share knowledge, ideas, and best practice. And in fact, it's a really busy environment where people will come along, talk to each other, talk to them, talk to us, because that's the other great thing is, you know, we are run by a technologist. Our chief executive is an engineer, as he often likes to say, and he is one of the leaders talking to the guys and girls on the Slack community around what they're trying to achieve with the platform and whether others have done it elsewhere. So that's a really useful community that we have, with lots of conversations going on in there. What we, not only do we have the Slack community, we also have our community library, again in line with Simon was saying, within our community library, opportunity to share ideas, knowledge of best practice and other developments. One of the benefits of our platform is when you look to export something, you can export not just the forms, you can actually export the business processes themselves. They come out as a BPNM2 standard compliance process, so you can import it into import other BPNM processes in as well. But the really exciting part of our session today, the thing we're really delighted to be able to do is actually invite Kerry to speak on behalf of the team at Rhondda Cynon Taf. And I remember Rhondda with some fondness because Roseanne actually, Nick, was speaking at one of your gigs, as you say, in the famous halls of Landed Rod in Paris. Yeah. You clearly go to the wrong places to eat. The last time I had the pleasure of being in Landed Rod, there was a fabulous little Italian eatery over the road from, I think it's the Metropole or somewhere, which is a really good meal. You should probably go there. But yeah, I listened to Roseanne speaking and talk with such passion for the customer, you know, making sure that whatever they were doing as an organization had the customer kind of front and center of what they were looking to achieve over the years to come, and to be selected as partner of choice by Rhondda was absolutely delighted to have that a few months ago, probably just prior to COVID. And I know Lisa and Kerry on the team have that passion as well and are really driving that charge forward. So what I'll do now, Kerry, is probably stop sharing my screen. I'll stay on so you've got a face to look at, if nothing else. Stop sharing my screen now and hand over to you, because I know you've got some slides to share as well. So I'll just look to switch that off. He said, fumbling desperately, as you can tell. Yeah, good. Can't make my screen any bigger. That's great. There we go. Nick, you can still see my screen, or is it stopped?
Still see your screen.
Great, that's fantastic, isn't it? I can't open the wider menu for whatever reason. Oh, there it is. Bear with team. It was all going so well, wasn't it? That's Sean. Hey, Sean. Yeah, for whatever reason, guys, I actually can't seem to switch off. All I can see is the whole menu. There we go. Where's the meeting console gone? Sure.
Do you want to send me the PowerPoint, or does somebody else have the PowerPoint?
No. Kerry's got the PowerPoint. I can't stop sharing my screen. Can you stop my screen from sharing, please? For whatever reason, my Zoom dash is.
Yes.
That's it. Booted me out. There we go.
Yeah. Oh, lovely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. I couldn't share my screen over, Simon. So
My bad. Sorry, Kerry.
that's perfect. Right. Let me just see if I can share mine. I've never done it over Zoom before. We normally do it in Teams. So you have to let me know. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
No. Okay. Let me try again. How about now?
Yes. Excellent.
Lovely jubbly. Right, yeah, so I'm here to tell you about RCT's CRM migration project. So we're in the process of migrating all our current CRM processes from Lagan, which is a Verint system, to the GOSS digital platform. My name is Kerry Parsons. I'm the Customer Experience and Insights Manager within Customer Care in RCT, and it's our team who's responsible for delivering the project. There are two arms within our team. So one arm consists of developers, and another arm which is the improvement team. And this team holds a breadth of skills. We are mainly business analysts, but we're also the system admin team for the CRM, and we hold the responsibility for the business metrics and customer insights. So I oversee the improvement team. So just in case you were thinking of firing off any techie dev questions to me later on, I won't have a clue, so sorry in advance. So a bit of background for you. We've been using Lagan as our CRM for nearly 20 years. The main driver to change providers was to improve a few things. Multimedia inbound routing, so better support for web chat, email, social media, and allow agents to raise and allocate cases quickly from these type of interactions. Excuse me. Efficient advisor data entry, so removing rekeying, streamlining processes, for example, to allow agents to view and report cases via a map. Improve data to and from the field. So again, streamline processes and automation and integrations to support the full range of system functionality when out in the field. We wanted to develop personalization opportunities, so provide a customer portal or my account that enables customers and businesses to self-serve, increasing channel shift, and then improving the experience of the customer. Then obviously to enable low-code form generation, so to increase our service take-on capacity and improve the resilience of our service. So it frees up our developers by allowing the improvement team to build forms. And improve data management, so for example, fully customizable and automated data cleansing tools. Simpler reporting, so the ability to support live dashboards, for example, and a web-based solution, so not to be dependent on local installs or plugins such as Java or Silverlight, etc. So we went out for tender in 2019 and decided to go with GOSS. What particularly stood out to us was the flexibility of the platform, so we could configure the system as to however we wanted. And to be honest, we were all ready for all systems go until we had horrendous floods in February last year, and then obviously coronavirus immediately after. So unfortunately, our team got heavily involved then in developing processes to help residents cope with the aftermath of the floods, but then we joined up with our local health board to help track and trace, mass testing and vaccine rollouts, both online and via the contact centre. So we've had very limited resources to take this project forward. And in fact, I think next week will be the first time in almost a year where our developers will have capacity to look at our GOSS project again. However, my half of the team have been soldiering on where they can and have made tremendous progress under the circumstances. So I'll go through that now. So our approach, first of all, we had to identify exactly what we would be replacing. So what forms are available for customers to transact online and the current processes within our CRM. Despite what you may think, there was no easy way for us to identify all the online forms rather than go through our A to Z list of online services. So that's exactly what we did. It then took three members of staff 1 month to replicate all our current online forms using the low-code form builder in GOSS, not including any integrations needed at that point. Some may need a little refining later on, but in essence, they're all built, so that was the easy part. Identifying our current CRM processes was a little more complicated. Plus, we knew there was some that may now be extinct or could be classed as one case type going forward. So our approach was to identify every classification that had been recorded in Lagan for the previous 2 years, so to pick up any seasonal peaks and troughs. We analysed how many of each classification had been recorded in that time. So this enabled us to tackle the big hitters first and helped us identify any classifications that were hardly used or no longer used, so we could discard these from our lists. Then we identified those that were generic, so where the agent wouldn't raise a case, so they would just want to record they've given information to the customer, or they'd pushed the customer online, or even just transferred the code to the back office. And we then grouped these together then under separate case types. Of the remaining classifications, we've done a manual exercise to group them together by process. So this was partly dictated by what script or e-form they were part of. Thus, for each process, we had a set of classifications we knew we needed to incorporate into the new system. So out of 1,409 classifications in Lagan, these turned into 199 processes to migrate. So this was the only way really we could confidently identify what case types we needed to rebuild in GOSS. As our Lagan contract is still current, we are still running Lagan until the migration is complete. There is pressure to get GOSS up and running as soon as possible. Therefore, we made the decision to migrate all our processes over to GOSS as a phase 1. That is, we have got a few exceptions of the more complex cases such as bulkies and those that we identified are no longer fit for purpose. So we had a team reviewing the 199 processes within Lagan, and we produced process maps on an individual process basis with all the relevant information required to replicate that process in GOSS. Actually, Lisa's on the call now. She was kind of heading up that section. These maps, they detailed the scripting. So we haven't replicated the scripting as is in GOSS. We've used articles and forms to help the agent raise the correct case type, which means a lot of work has been done on the agent process before the agent even arrives at the form. Then we've built the associated forms. So we've set this up that the agents would use an amended version of the public forms to raise cases. And as we've discussed, all of the public forms have been built. But they do need amending to be relevant to the agent. So they might be embedded web pages, links to generic forms such as a push online form to collect our service metrics, and these wouldn't be visible to the public. The maps also detail what's needed for the case management. So are there any SLAs, escalations, case closure reasons or queues specific to each process? And then it's the data retention and integration such as payments and FLA, etc. So what is our vision for GOSS, I suppose? We've built 4 portals which will allow targeted access to targeted groups. So 3 are front-facing portals. So the citizen portal holds publicly accessible forms that can be accessed online and submitted by our residents and businesses, and will hold the individual's profile within a My Account. The members portal can only be accessed by councillors and holds councillor-specific processes and holds a member profile. Staff Connect is a portal that will hold internal transactions, so transactions between internal departments, and then it will hold the staff individual profile. And all these transactions then feed into the Staff Resolve portal, which enables the back office staff to claim and process the requests accordingly. So when we're talking about Staff Resolve, it's worth noting it's got 2 views based on permissions. So one for the back office to claim and resolve requests, and one for the contact centre agent. So the agent view allows the agent to deal with an assisted query directly in Staff Resolve and pass it to the back office. So when we're talking about replacing what we already had in Lagan, it would be the Staff Resolve that will hold all of that functionality, all the rest technique outside this as enhancements. It is worth noting that since procuring the digital platform, we have invested in GOSS bookings, which we see as being our corporate booking solution. We haven't done anything with this as yet, but we have already been approached from internal departments to build things such as caravan pitch bookings, cycle hires, course bookings such as adult education, carers projects, Lido bookings, which is our outdoor swimming pool, one for all centre appointments, internal meeting rooms, internal multi-team consultations, and booking hot desks. So we'll see how that goes in due course. So as far as next steps go, obviously we're still in the building process at the moment, but we've got to finalise that, the process migration, UAT and tweaks, and the training and adoption. The plan is to go live in September. So yeah, we're aiming for that at the moment. Maybe a bit of a push, but yeah, that's what we're aiming for. And then post go live, we're thinking about doing a full digitalization review. So go into departments and modernize it from top to bottom. So not only refine the migrated processes, but explore further integrations and perhaps digital barriers, etc. And then we've also decided to allow access to other internal departments to build their own forms in our development instance due to the low code functionality. So that's our project overview. If anyone wants to get in touch about anything I've discussed, use this is my email address and our generic team email address. Always happy to collaborate. Thanks.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kerry. That was really cool. Really interesting insight into what you guys are doing. It's worth just making note to mention, obviously, with the GOSS digital platform, it's capable of supporting all aspects of the online customer experience, because within our digital platform is a content management system as well. So you have that rich user experience. And as Kerry was talking about earlier with articles and using articles to inform officers, so using the platform to its fullest extent allows leveraging things like FAQs. So we have organisations that are using kind of the FAQ content that's held within the management to help support officers as they build. What we'll do now is we'll carry on with the rest of our session with Matt hopefully sharing his screen and being able to share and unshare his screen faster than I can, and with the view that we'll finish up with Q&A at the end, Nick.
Yeah, that's
Thanks.
brilliant.
You knew where it was going. Right.
Thanks,
Matt.
Simon. Hopefully you can see my screen. Perfect. Morning, everybody. So just going to give you a quick whistle-stop tour of what some of our other clients have been up to over the last 12 months. This was what we recently presented at our user group, as Simon mentioned, in April. So we'll start off with Paris County Council. Over the last sort of 12 months or so, they've been up to an awful lot building processes on our platform, such as pavement licenses, ordering, collecting library books, signposting for vulnerable customers. Paris are also fortunate to have a couple of their own developers, and they've built their own Northgate Revs and Bends integration, allowing citizens to set up and amend direct debits for council tax and business rates, and also creating a host of other processes around trade, waste, highways processes, and members' case management systems. They also create their own dashboards, allowing councillors and members to have a very quick snapshot at what's going on with the website and the My Account. So you can see which profiles are linked to council taxes, housing tenancy references, how many customer accounts there are, and staff accounts. They also record the number of requests coming in per month, so you can very quickly see it. You can then drill down into that or export it as a CSV file and pump it into Power BI or something like that. But also they split out the differences of language preferences and which citizens want to contact and speak with the council. We moved down to Buckinghamshire councils. These guys got unitary status just before COVID, I believe it was. We were working with two of the previous districts, Chiltern and South Bucks. So we still work with Buckinghamshire Council for these areas and also Wickham now as well. These are some of the results that they've had over the past 18 months or so. You can see with the Chiltern in South Bucks area of the new Buckinghamshire Council, they've have over 87 different service requests for 6 different service areas live. These are all built by non-developers. So it's all using the low-code case management, report it, and forms functionality within our platform. But you can see that over the last sort of 18 months, they've had 12,000 fewer calls, which has enabled them to answer more of the calls coming through compared to previously. You can also see with Powys, in the first year of going live with their waste services, they've had a 50% reduction in emails to customer services and an 80% reduction in calls related to waste depots themselves. One of the big positives for Powys was when they went live, they tweaked the process a couple of times and they saw that the satisfaction rates went up for all of the service areas, specifically bulky waste, which is now at 96%. Buckinghamshire have recently gone live over the last 6 months with a full integration into their iDocs platform via the case management system on the GOSS digital platform. We built the integration for them and then provided them the relevant endpoints so that their team were then able to build their own forms, build their own workflows within case management, and simply just drag on the relevant endpoint that then fired the requests into iDocs. We've also integrated fully into their new unitary corporate waste management system, which is the Veolia ecosystem. Phase 1 was to push all requests directly into Veolia. The second phase that we're doing now is working on the updates coming back from Veolia so that we can update the citizens without any interaction from the council staff themselves. Surrey County Council, they've been busy building a lot of low-code forms around adoption and social care inquiries, ceremony planners, contacting the history centre, i.e. when are you going to open again? How do we book a place? Also paying for care services, also additional incident reports for the fire and rescue special services, online school payments, and they've also got a lot more in the pipeline, as you can see, re-registrations of birth, scaffolding license requests, things like that. Then we move on to Gateshead Council, and I'm going to hand over to Simon so he can tell you about these.
Brilliant, thanks, Matt. So yeah, our friends at Gateshead Council, again, another Lagan migration success story. So they are in the process of moving off their Lagan CRM, and they've really taken some time to work with GOSS and our BA team to completely re-engineer their business process. So as Carrie was talking in her section earlier, it's key to understand, you know, what your business processes are, and more importantly, you know, how are they going to be re-engineered to work going forwards, because it's clear that you can't just lift and shift what you had and stick it onto a different platform. You have to think about how you can better re-engineer that business process. And interestingly, again, Kerry mentioned GOSS bookings. It was our friends in Gateshead that first came up with the concept of the bookings engine, and they were looking to use GOSS bookings to monetize services. So they were using it in their leisure services, and it's been rolled out incredibly successfully there and to numerous authorities across the UK, because they're looking to monetize services around course bookings and all of that kind of good stuff. But a really interesting offshoot of that was when COVID struck. Obviously, all of these places were closed. There was no opportunity to use bookings to generate service revenue. So what they did instead was repurpose the same engine to arrange bookings at local tips when they reopened. So quickly and easily they could repurpose the platform to do what they wanted to do to help meet customer need and demand. And again, the guys at Gateshead were some of the leaders in developing COVID-19 support apps, which they put into the GOSS library for the rest of the community to access and share, which was really exciting. And I think the interesting thing with Gateshead is, again, there's this focus, this drill down into understanding the customer and understanding the customer's user experience from end to end, because we have out of the box payment integrations that you have available to you, and the guys in Gateshead are actually using Capita as their payment engine. And the thing they found with the Capita engine was it was a really poor user experience. So they did the impossible. They actually talked to Capita and got Capita to talk to them about what it was that was wrong about the Capita user experience. And they've created some really great improvements. You can see the feedback from when they went live back in 2019. You know, they were achieving high scores, but they're consistently driving incremental improvements into the user experience by taking the platform, adapting the user experience based on feedback, and building. And you can see, you know, in the 2 years it's gone live, the numbers of payments have increased, the value of the payments have increased. It's ironic, in the user group there was a view that they were just charging more for everything. In Gateshead that isn't the case. It's just the value of what people are able to do now in a digital environment has improved massively. So on to another Lagan migration success story. Our friends in East Renfrewshire, actually. So they were a traditional GOSS content client for quite a while, but they went out to tender and looked for a replacement for their Lagan system, and they selected GOSS as their partner of choice, and have been in the process of also going through kind of COVID, because it seems everyone was buying systems just before COVID, and they were dealing with COVID, and they had got GOSS bookings, interestingly, although they didn't take it specifically to do anything. It was to help recover them from a situation around the tips and bins, because the system they had in place couldn't cope with demand. But as they've been working through their services, they worked around the missed bins service. So they were looking at the missed bins with Lagan, and moving that onto the GOSS platform. So with that missed bins process that it was within the Lagan system, they looked to re-engineer that from the ground up. So they had a completely redesigned business process, landing page, and updated the whole online user experience and implemented it using the GOSS low-code platform. They achieved that in under a month. So they were really pleased with the speed that they could roll that service out, and they achieved some quite good results. And they're getting typically around 1,100 to 1,200 missed bin reports every kind of 14 days. 14 days always struck me as quite an odd number. You'd have thought, why didn't they just say it was like, I don't know, 650 every 7 days, but what do I know? And then looking at how that pans out compared to the service improvements. So I think, Nick, you were asking questions, you know, earlier about what service improvements were being caught and measured. You know, the capability of doing that within the GOSS platform was quite easy to identify, because obviously we've got reporting within it. And what they were able to see is a 75% reduction in time for the kind of missed bins process. So whereas it was taking kind of over 8 days, 8.2 days within Lagan, they could close a missed bins case in 2 days using the GOSS platform once it was rolled out. So they were really pleased with that. And indeed, the other thing they were able to do is actually identify and reduce the number of non-genuine missed bins reports, because obviously there's always the local citizen that's always going to try and dodge the fact they were late putting their missed bin out, and will try and force the issue. And we've got other cases, interestingly, where in the reduction of missed bins, misreporting. So for instance, in Guildford, where we've integrated with the Bartek system, that's integrated directly into their in-cab. So if the teams have gone out and reported a house has not actually put their bin out in time for when they were out on their rounds, when a citizen goes to report a misbin, in that instance, we'll go off and check with Bartek to see if it's been reported. And if it's already been reported, then we just close that report down from the outset, so they can't actually report it. We just say, we've got a report to say your bin wasn't out. Don't forget to put your bin out in time next time. Have a nice day. So that's a way of kind of mitigating that demand and reducing failure demand. The other stats that they achieved was actually being able to hone in on case closure reasons, because a lot of the challenges they were finding is, you know, they weren't getting the levels of detailed information that they wanted to get from the Lagan system. So they could improve that using the GOSS system to get the right level of data to get the closure reasons in the way they needed them. And just finally with that, it's over to you, Matt. I thought I had another slide in there, but what do I know?
No, sorry, that's your lot.
That's
Thanks for that, Simon. So as Simon mentioned earlier on, it's not, the GOSS platform also has the CMS incorporated within it as well. So whilst we've been talking a lot about low code processes that have been developed by clients up and down the country, Preston, they use the platform predominantly for forms and as the CMS currently. They went through a phase of needing to spin up a number of sites very quickly. They had them in all different sorts of platforms previously. They wanted to bring them all under one umbrella, onto one platform, so that everybody could use them and update them in one place. But they were getting a lot of requests for new sites to be created as COVID and lockdown restrictions were starting to be eased. So what they have done is they have one of our out-of-the-box web themes. This one's the impact theme, and they have been able to reutilize it a number of times and spin up a number of different subsites very, very quickly in a matter of hours, pretty much, to get the core templates there. These aren't developers. These are non-techie type people who are able just to spin up a variety of different sites in different look and feels to meet the different service areas requirements. So this is why this is Visit Preston. Like I say, it's an impact theme. They spin it up very quickly. It's very visual, and it's to encourage people to come and look at where they can stay, what they can do when they come and visit Preston. This is the same theme again, the impact theme, and this is a slightly different one. This is for residents to get help within Preston. The interesting story behind this one is this is for people who don't want to talk to the council. They really hate talking to the council, but this is actually a council site, although they don't think that they're dealing with the council at that time. So it's helping people who want to, you know, need help on benefits, food access, health and well-being, things like that, but who just have an adversity against actually dealing with the council direct. But again, they're using the events product as part of this to be able to very quickly filter and refine what it is you're looking for. And you can also see it on a map as well, so you can pinpoint an area which is close to you. And finally, again, this is just another one of the same impact theme sites. This is to advertise their festivals of free arts and music and performances. As things start to slowly come back to normal, they just wanted another site to be able to encourage people to come and see what's going on. So that's everything from us.